All right, so here's the English assignment sheet for the grit essay. Remember that grit is actually a scholarship term that is used in the field of psychology, and so we are using it from a scholarship standpoint versus from a sports standpoint. And usually, you might hear a coach um, encourage their players, his players, to have more grit. And it has some application to sports, but this is mainly from an academic standpoint use of grit. So I'm going to read the English assignment sheet and go over just a few areas that you need to be concerned about. Angela Duckworth and James J. Gross and self-control and grit, related but separable determinants of success, define grit as the ability to stick with a definable goal over the long term until you have mastered it. Duckworth and Gross suggest that grit is a determinant of success. It is the tenacious pursuit of a dominant superordinate goal despite setbacks. The superordinate goal is one in which the goal is dominant over lesser goals. So pay attention to the fact that you have examples of MLA applied here. So for first mention, you have full names of authors, full title of work, and then referencing to the authors again is just Duckworth and Gross. Then also, grit is formatted in quotation marks because we are now about to define grit as the tenacious pursuit of a dominant superordinate goal despite setbacks. And because we mentioned Duckworth and Gross at the beginning of the sentence line, as you see here, we do not need to mention it here. We just need the page number 319. The authors also suggest that grit is strongly correlated, although not perfectly, with self control, further implying that to achieve a definable larger goal, one must align all actions with achieving that goal despite alternatives that are more alluring. To do this, individuals must employ self control at multiple levels, addressing issues with mindset and build conscientiousness to improve adult well being. So remember, whatever we do at the beginning of the sentence line will tell us or will inform what we do at the end of the sentence line. So we didn't mention them by name here, we referenced them as the authors. And so therefore, we need a citation at the end. For example, Carol Dweck introduces mindset and suggests a difference between fixed mindset and growth mindset as it relates to one's belief in achieving or not achieving a definable goal. As Dweck suggests, using the changing our mindset chart, fixed mindset is the belief that intelligence is static and is essentially determined at birth. However, growth mindset, in contrast, is defined as the belief that intelligence can be developed despite challenges, setbacks, and failures. So, fixed mindset and growth mindset are not terms that we use every day as in everyday speech. We don't say, oh, this person has a fixed mindset, oh, this person has a growth mindset. Because we don't use these terms every day, then we need to be sure that we format such terms in quotation marks because they are not everyday speech and they're also specific to the work. In fact, in changing our mindset chart, the author Carol Dweck actually uses these terms, so we know that these terms are specific to her work. Okay, we also do not necessarily need a page number because it is a chart. So as long as we mention Dweck and the titling of the work, which is formatted in quotation marks, we don't need a citation at the end of the line because it is a chart and it's not paginated. People who exercise a growth mindset often reach higher levels by employing grit. This is a distinction Duckworth also makes in a YouTube video titled The Key to Success, Grit. Dweck's discussion may also support notions concerning nature versus nurture. Lastly, Sarah E. Hampson in Mechanisms by Which Childhood Personality Traits Influence Adult Well-Being concludes that childhood conscientiousness predicts adult well-being. Adults who were low in conscientiousness as adolescents often achieve less academically, professionally, and personally. And so whenever you format a title in quotation marks, it's usually because this is a work within a work. And so for these scholarly works, they are works within a journal, and the journal would be considered the larger work, and that is formatted in italics. So your question, Your prompt question is, do you think grit is a predictor of academic, professional, and personal success? And so there's an and there. However, how you answer this question will determine whether or not you believe that grit is a predictor of all three. How you can say grit is a predictor of, say, academic and professional, but not necessarily personal. Regardless, you have to answer or provide a response to all three major categories of success here. Okay? And then application, considering Angela Lee Duckworth's and Carol Dweck's works and the journal articles and related videos discussed in class. Define grit within the context of the works. Explore the differences between fixed mindset and growth mindset, assuming one or both will help to contribute to the sustaining of grit and the shifting to a growth mindset. Meaning that if you're going to exercise grit, you're going to eventually have to adopt a growth mindset type of thinking. Because when you are confronted with challenges, are you the type of person who will stay within that challenge and just survive it? Or will you be the type of person who overcomes that challenge? And that means you would have to utilize a growth mindset to do that. Use examples from the source materials and or videos. Life examples are also appropriate as well. And there is an MLA topic video about how to sandwich a personal experience within your work. So do make sure to look for that. Purpose, learning objective. So you are defining the concept according to scholarship. You are not looking up grit or fixed mindset or growth mindset within a dictionary. You are defining it in the way that the authors define it within their work. Create a thesis and organize essay. Develop the grit essay according to research. Synthesize ideas into a cohesive discussion. That means you have to understand the purpose of your own thesis. So the word length requirement is a range between 750 and 1,000 words. This is an integration paper, so you are required to integrate source materials. Also, do not use these categories that you see here as subtitles within your work. This is just to tell you what the point value is. So you don't need the term introduction or thesis or conclusion or even the titles of the work. So your introduction and thesis will be 10 points. True grit, that is a required source, would be 10 points as well. Self-control and grit is your larger source, is your base source, and so it's going to require more points. You are spending more time here than you do with any of the other sources. If you see something that's 10 points, that's probably 2 quotes. If you see something that's 5 points, that's likely a reference to the source or maybe even just 1 quote. But this is where you're spending the majority of your time in your paper. So again, the Duckworth and Gross source is a base source for this essay. You will spend more of your time exploring it than the rest of the required materials. And all required materials are housed on eCampus. The total points possible is 100. You must create a MLA formatted document, which is double spaced. Any missing material, I will subtract 10 points. So even if this is worth 5 points, if it's missing out of your paper, I'm subtracting 10. You will also create an MLA works cited page of entries for journal article, periodical, web-based, and video. You must integrate quotes. Refer to the source resource for integrating source material. There's a link. And then there is some flexibility with MLA formatting because you're still learning, but there must be an attempt to integrate in your paper. So that means you should not have a bunch of summaries and no integrated quotes. Due date will be Sunday, November 20th. Papers that are late are considered at a 40-point deduction. Definitely plan well. So you're getting this assignment November the 7th. So that gives you enough time between the 7th and the 20th. Plagiarism, make sure not to work together. So you may want to bounce ideas, but you are primarily working this out on your own as a student. And then these are the required sources. They are already formatted according to MLA, so you can definitely cut and paste these into your document. Okay, so definitely take some time to look at this. So this is the English assignment sheet for the grid essay.